Today, the relationship of brand or businesses with content creators is still that of the exploiter and the exploitee.
So anyways, I want to start off with Ajay. You're not particularly crazy about the term influencer. You prefer to be called a content creator. Expand on that.
This is like an old saying that 50% of the advertising works, God alone knows which 50%. So same way, I have no clue whether we actually influence or we don't influence people's travel, but we do provide them with enough understanding of a destination or experience for them to make up their mind and accordingly plan a trip.
How does one stand out as a content creator today, given the barriers to entry are currently low?
For me, it's very important as a content creator to show a feed that is not perfectly curated. There is you could be walking around your street with coconut oil in your hair and then the next day be in a fancy luxury hotel and everything. And that's what will make your audience relate to you, because you are not inaccessible, you are not pretentious, you're not larger than life.
Instagram keeps changing its algorithm, which also affects reach. So there are different trends that come along every once in a while, those dancing reels, and which may not appeal to every travel content creator's sensibility.
So when Reels came out, I was very like, oh my God, I hate this, these trending music, these dances. The thing is to just flow with it. Then I realized when I got into it, I was just doing it for fun. Now it should not become this stress like, oh my God, I have to reach these many people and so many people should engage with me.
And Shivya, you come from a background of travel writing. How's your Instagram game, for example? Or do you even care about your Instagram page, or you're more focused on your travel writing?
I do post photos, but I don't identify as a photographer. I'm a writer first. And so I figured, why not try to find my writing voice on Instagram? So I started doing, against all advice, long narrative captions. And I think that's what people still follow me for.
What are some of the challenges and opportunities you see working with brands today as opposed to, let's say, 3 years ago, pre-pandemic?
Brands largely are now much smarter than they were, say, 5 years ago. So they are not necessarily chasing the number. You could have 100 comments which are just heart and wow, babe, beautiful, sweet too, sexy and all, as opposed to 10 people having a discussion on the product and asking you, about tips. That holds far more weight than the former.
Today, the relationship of brand or businesses with content creators is still that of the exploiter and the exploitee. Brands want anything and everything being done free of cost or for as little money as possible, without realizing that there are people who are professionally into this field of content creation, and they have actually given their sweat, tears, blood to this business.
I feel that you can make a pitch, you can make a decent living if you do your work well.
What are some of the strategies that you deploy to maybe make a hotel or a destination stand out?
I do a mix of both. So if I'm promoting a destination, yes, the content that I'll create for the destination will be very destination focused. But then I'll also make sure that I create some content which is also for my audience. And I think that mix works really well.
Trick is to not make it look like a paid promotion. For example, I just went to Jodhpur. Now, everybody knows Jodhpur is the blue city, but do you know why Jodhpur is painted blue? So finding that out and saying that, oh, a long time ago, all the Brahmins had their houses painted blue. Then for equality, they painted everyone's house blue. Now that's interesting. Also, blue keeps the mosquitoes away, and it's a cool color, they say.
Is Jodhpur where you picked up that outfit from?
No.
No? Shivya, you're very passionate about sustainability, right? And I want to touch upon responsible tourism.
We are living through a climate crisis. I think as the tourism industry and as travel media, we can't afford to ignore the fact that the way forward has to be sustainable if we want a planet to live on. Are we, through our travels, ruining the very thing that we are trying to promote, which is places around the world, communities and cultures around the world?
So when a brand approaches you, given the fact that you're so passionate about sustainability, what are the conversations you're having with that particular brand?
A lot of brands are now kind of trying to use influencer marketing as a way to greenwash. And so that makes our jobs as content creators, as travel writers, as Instagrammers a little bit harder, because it's our onus to verify some of the claims that people are making.
But what's happened in the pandemic is some of these publications shut down. So the distribution channels for a lot of content creators have diminished. How does that affect someone like yourself that probably relies, apart from your blog and Instagram and other social channels, relies on a lot of these publications and magazines to distribute your work?
I was never dependent on the publications for distribution of the work, because during pandemic also, I did contribute to some of the magazines, because magazines had moved from physical print magazine to e-zines. But at the same time, lockdowns gave me a discipline of that one blog post every week.
It just seems like blogs used to be really popular, and perhaps some of them are popular today as well. But in this age of instant gratification, have blogs lost some of their sheen?
Brands always come to me and say, we want X number of reels and X number of posts. But I always tell them that what you're paying for is just 2 days of visibility. So sure, 100,000 people might see your content over those 2 days. But blog posts that I've written maybe 5 years ago, in-depth guides that I've written 5 years ago are still making your destination and your accommodation being found on Google even 5 years later.
The serious search looks for informative, content-rich blog posts.
Do you think your background as a VJ and a public figure way before you got into the travel blogging space has helped? And do you think that this trend is going to accelerate where it's more about celebrities talking about travel rather than actual OG content creators who've put their sweat, blood and tears into this perhaps for the last decade and a half?
Through my celebrity thing, I got my first 20,000 followers. That's it. But after that, I started, doing this travel content and all that, and I built from there.
So, Riaan, my question to you is, do you kind of like need to excel in another career, a consumer-facing career, and be a travel blogger? Because it seems like chefs, yoga instructors, they are the ones that are getting the best trips to go everywhere today.
A content creator is an influencer, but an influencer is not necessarily a content creator. It could be a doctor, it could be a teacher. So I think it's a very positive sign that now they are opening up the avenues, not necessarily only the traditional travel guys, but now a chef might have that audience, so I can showcase the food of my hotel or my destination.